Welcome to your Macon-Bibb Beat, your one-stop shop for all your Macon-Bibb County news. I'm Lori Johnson. Each week we take you through what's happening in your neighborhood, from North Macon to South Bibb and everywhere in between. 3 people face charges in connection to a home invasion. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office says it happened around 6 o'clock Monday night on Ingleside Avenue. Now, this is video of the suspects arriving at the Bibb County Jail. Deputies say a 27-year-old woman was on the phone with 911 when 2 women and a man came into her home and assaulted her. One of them allegedly took her phone and hit her on the head. She was treated by paramedics. Deputies arrested Tasha Fuller, Malik Porter, and Chandria Phelps. Right now, all 3 are in the Bibb County Jail without bond. 12 people are looking at time in federal prison after pleading guilty to running a Macon drug ring. Prosecutors say the group ran a, quote, trap house like it was a restaurant for drugs. Federal investigators say the operation ran out of a home on Richard Street off Pioneer Avenue. After 2-year FBI investigation, agents shut it down. They say agents found cocaine, guns, and more than $90,000 in cash. Prosecutors say Eddie Reese led the ring. Reese and the other 11 defendants have pleaded guilty and now face federal prison time. A man is in the Bibb County Jail after a high-speed chase. It started when deputies spotted a stolen Toyota Camry near Griffin Road. According to a Facebook post from the Sheriff's Office, deputies tried to stop the car, but the driver took off. The Sheriff's Office released this video where you can see the car weaving in and out of traffic. Deputies say the suspect even hit another car before they used a pit maneuver to stop the driver. The suspect crashed into the median and tried to run, but deputies were able to arrest him. A man is dead in Macon after he was hit by a car. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office says it happened around 9 Saturday night. They say 36-year-old Eric Wilburn was walking along Jeffersonville Road near Purnell Drive when he was hit by a car and killed. The driver, 39-year-old Daniel Hicks, stayed at the accident and called 911. Hicks faces multiple charges, including driving under the influence, open container, and driving with a suspended license, among other charges. The crash is still under investigation. If you have any additional information, you can reach out to Macon Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-877-68-CRIME. A fire destroyed a vacant house. According to the Macon-Bibb Fire Department, the home, a total loss, but firefighters saying no one was hurt. Macon-Bibb Battalion Chief Tyler Stimbridge says firefighters arrived at the house on Columbus Road. The fire was brought under control in about 15 minutes, but as you can see in this video, the home is really heavily damaged. Stimbridge says the house was a rental property and was vacant at the time of the fire. The state's Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit is marking 8 months since opening a branch in Macon. The Attorney General created the unit in 2019 to investigate and prosecute human trafficking cases across the state. The first Central Georgia branch opened in May of last year, with officials targeting an area where 2 interstates and several U.S. highways intersect. Now the Macon unit is sharing their early successes and progress. Olivia Dunn sat down with the unit's leader, who says education and strong partnerships are delivering results against trafficking in Central Georgia.
Besides getting convictions and indictments, the Macon unit's job is also to educate and to help local agencies fight the problem head on.
We're very much proactive, trying to go after traffickers and use the best resources that we can.
Alicia Gassett is leading the fight against human trafficking in Central Georgia. The Attorney General's office set up in Macon last summer to cover more rural ground. Macon also sits near several major highways. Combined with branches in Atlanta and Augusta, the Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit has recovered over 200 children across the state, including around here.
Right now, we have indicted 2 individuals in Peach County, and we've indicted 1 individual in Bibb County, and are currently working cases as far as Albany.
But Gassett says a major part of her job is education for you and for local law enforcement and organizations.
A lot of times it's connecting with those local law enforcement agencies that know their area, and we can help them and have the tools to help them investigate those cases and find the traffickers.
Like Byron Police, who say they've also seen how education and preparation leads to arrests. In October, they arrested 12 people in a child sex sting operation after getting training from Gassett and her team.
When we were planning the operation, we worked with them to get guidelines and help, along with our district attorney's office to make sure we were doing things the right way so that we can get the convictions when the time comes.
And Gassett says they're also working with agencies such as the Crescent House at Atrium. Reporting in Macon, Olivia Dunn, 13 WMAC News.
The unit is also reminding folks that it is Human Trafficking Prevention Month. More than 27 million people worldwide are victims of human trafficking, and advocates say now is the best time to educate yourself about signs so you can help.
You need to understand it and you need to be aware of what's going on with it. If no other time, this is a month that is the time to focus on what's happening.
Advocates say helping human trafficking victims starts with awareness and action. Federal investigators report a 95% conviction rate in recent trafficking cases, but also say they need your help finding and saving victims. Law enforcement officials say traffickers often prey on runaways and vulnerable people. Many victims may also have certain tattoos or some kind of marking to identify them. If you need to report human trafficking, call the national hotline on your screen. That number, 1-888-373-7888. A Macon woman and her boyfriend facing felony charges accused of brutally attacking her ex-husband to force divorce concessions. That's according to court records. Deputies say Taylor Childress Presley and Ricky Harrington Jr. showed up at the victim's Green Meadows apartment in November. Investigators say Harrington forced his way inside, knocked him to the ground, and beat him using brass knuckles. Deputies say Childress Presley forced him to sign a document agreeing to pay all divorce costs and to give up claims. On Tuesday, both were indicted on aggravated assault and multiple felony charges. A man facing charges in a deadly shooting in downtown Macon just over a year ago. Ethan Cox was charged with involuntary manslaughter after accidentally shooting a man while dancing with a loaded gun. Cox allegedly shot and killed John Tennant at the Broadway Lofts on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in January of 2025. At the time, the sheriff's office said the shooting was accidental. Prosecutors say he was dangerously dancing with a firearm when it was discharged. If convicted, Cox faces up to 10 years in prison. A Macon man will now spend life in prison for the 2018 murder of John Fleming III. He was shot and killed while seeking money he loaned for car services. District Attorney Anita Howard's office announced the conviction for Raymond Leverett. Investigators connected him to the case with the help of phone records. DNA found in Fleming's car and forensics done on Fleming's body. That was found later, years later in East Macon. Leverett was found guilty on 4 felony charges, including murder and armed robbery. In a statement, DA Howard spoke on accountability for Mr. Leverett, saying in part, this verdict holds Raymond Leverett accountable for a profound betrayal of trust that ended in tragedy. Mr. Fleming was a man who worked hard for his family and his future. The Georgia Supreme Court ruled a Macon man will remain in prison for the 2017 shooting death of his friend. According to the court, it was all over a can of beer. Calvin Stapleton was convicted of killing his friend Andre Taylor outside a gas station. The two got into a fight over a can of beer at Taylor's bootleg bar the day before. And we're told when they saw each other next day, tensions rose and Stapleton shot Taylor. While he claimed it was self-defense, the jury disagreed. Now, in his appeal, he claimed his attorney didn't do a good enough job and the judge should have allowed the jury to hear a lesser charge. The judge disagreed, rejecting all his claims. Because of that, Stapleton will remain in prison, where he's currently serving a life sentence without parole. Also from the Georgia Supreme Court, a major update in the court case against a Georgia lawyer who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. This week, the court ruled McCall Calhoun should be disbarred. Calhoun petitioned the court saying he would accept a public reprimand. But Georgia's High Court said that punishment is not enough. We first told you about this case in 2021. That's when federal prosecutors charged Calhoun for his role in storming the Capitol. At the time, he admitted to investigators he knew he was breaking the law and that he intended to block the 2020 election results. President Trump pardoned Calhoun last year, but Georgia's Supreme Court says that doesn't save his law license. Now his case goes back to the State Bar Association for further review. In less than a month, some Central Georgia voters will return to the polls to vote in the runoff election for State Senate District 18. The special election wrapped up with none of the 6 candidates receiving more than 50%. Lamario Brown and Stephen McNeil now head to a runoff. After pulling in the most votes, Brown received 37% to McNeil's 21%. The runoff will be on February 17th. Early voting is between February 9th through the 13th. To find out where you can vote in this race or to find your polling location, you can visit the Secretary of State's My Voter page. A stalled bill that could let Macon-Bibb mayors seek a 3rd term could get new life. Senate Bill 338 would change the county charter, extending the mayor's term limit from 2 to 3 terms and removing limits for commissioners. State Senator David Lucas says he wants to restart the conversation. Meanwhile, Mayor Lester Miller is weighing what comes next. Maggie Fitzgerald shares more.
More than 12 years since Macon-Bibb's consolidation and 3 weeks into the legislative session, state leaders are still weighing Senate Bill 338. The bill would increase the mayor's term limit from 2 to 3 four-year terms. It would also remove term limits for county commissioners. The bill, sponsored by Senator David Lucas last year, was read in the Senate and referred to a committee, but it never passed.
Whether or not we make a decision to send it back to the people to pass it or whatever, the delegation has to do it. The majority of the delegation has to agree to do it.
In January 2025, the County Commission voted 6-3 to support the resolution, sponsored by then Mayor Pro Tem Seth Clark. To advance this year, the bill needs majority support from the Bibb County legislative delegation.
Members who say that, well, the people voted on it, then the people ought to have the right to vote on the 3rd term. We don't have to allow for a vote. We can do it by the delegation.
In a Facebook post shared Saturday, Mayor Lester Miller asked for public input on whether he should seek higher office. He noted that other local officials, like his former mayor pro tem, have resigned to do the same. He said he has, quote, thoroughly considered higher office because he faces a 2-term limit as mayor. Political science professor Charles Bullock says the bill's fate rests with local lawmakers. Georgia allows limited home rule for charter changes.
With local legislation, usually the arrangement is that if the legislators, both House and Senate, from the affected community, i.e. in this case Bibb County, agree with the idea, then the legislature rubber stamps it.
I'm gonna call a meeting. If we got the votes to send it back, we don't. It's just like it is right now.
In Macon, Maggie Fitzgerald, 13, WMAZ News.
We reached out to Mayor Miller about his future and his social media posts, but his office said he was busy. Advocates for historic preservation say a decision at the state capitol may shape Macon's future. They're urging lawmakers to expand Georgia's historic rehabilitation tax credits. House Bill 376 would double the state's annual cap from $30 million to $60 million. Supporters say Macon already hits that limit each year, leaving several projects waiting for funding. And it's not just downtown. Macon's historic neighborhoods, with 17 nationally registered districts, also depend on these incentives. Historic Macon's newly appointed executive director, Emily Hopkins, says if lawmakers don't act this session, momentum could be lost and some projects may never get off the ground.
There are 6 buildings in downtown alone, like the one behind us, that could use these historic tax credits for rehabilitation. So if this cap isn't increased, that could severely impact our growth and development in Macon.
Newtown Macon says the 6 ready-to-go downtown projects would add 28 residential units, 100 hotel rooms, 90 offices, and 6 storefronts in the next 2 to 3 years. They say that puts $21.5 million of possible investment on the line. A Trump administration focus has been Greenland. While Americans debate the island's future, one Macon lawyer has a unique connection to its government. Christopher Smith serves as the honorary consul to Denmark, right from his law office in Macon. Olivia Dunn stopped by to talk with Smith about his international side hustle and how he works to build bridges between our two cultures.
Behind this door, Christopher Smith is living a double life, an attorney by trade, but a diplomat by appointment.
An honorary consul is kind of like a roverback. You have a lot of jobs.
Inside Smith's law office is a small representation of over 200 years of friendship between two nations.
Dannebroge is the name for the Danish flag that you see right here.
20 years ago, Christopher Smith was offered the role of honorary consul to Denmark after delivering a series of lectures in the country. His job includes helping Danes in Georgia with their passports, working to get them absentee ballots, but he says most of his job is educating Georgians about the long-standing relationship between us and Denmark.
This year marks 225 years of unbroken diplomatic relations between Denmark and the United States, which makes Denmark one of our oldest and best friends and allies.
As an honorary consul, Smith's job is mostly at the state level, and he says he cannot speak on the debate over Greenland. However, his work revolves around promoting Georgians' understanding of the relationship to Denmark. Between speaking at conferences to lobbying at the first nonstop flight to Copenhagen out of Atlanta, he says his work revolves around connecting us with one of our oldest international friends.
Denmark has the oldest consulate in the state of Georgia. It dates back to 1802. So there's a lot of cultural reference and influence between us, and it's a fascinating place. It's a beautiful place.
And Smith is planning to continue teaching Central Georgia about this relationship at the upcoming Global Trade and Investment Symposium. Reporting in Macon, Olivia Dunn, 13 WMEZ News.
That symposium is happening February 19th at Wesleyan College. Winter weather can be disruptive for many people. Cold mornings, icy windshields, and dangerous travel conditions can affect your normal routine. However, some Central Georgians didn't let the cold weekend that we had recently affect them.
I've been doing it for a few months actually, pretty regularly coming out here on every day off, early when it is cold. It's just kind of the perfect start to your day. It really wakes you up, gets you going in the right direction.
So we have been seeing more of the sun lately to help dry out the ground. We will be below freezing again for much of the time left in January. So you got to be careful of standing water that could potentially freeze over, and use caution when you're driving. If you live in Macon-Bibb County, emergency officials want to hear from you. They're updating the county's pre-disaster plan and asking for your ideas on what could make the community safer. You can find it on the Macon-Bibb County government website. You have until February 4th to respond. There will also be a few meetings to share your ideas. The first one is February 5th from 10 until noon. The meeting is at City Hall on Poplar Street. Every week, we head into our community classrooms for School of the Week. It's a chance to highlight the amazing things students right here in our viewing area are doing beyond textbooks and tests. Our education reporter, Naomi Washington, takes us to a STEM arts-focused public charter school in Macon.
In this STEAM class, students are learning by doing, giving the robots demands, building obstacle courses, and testing their problem-solving skills in real time. 8th grader Dwayne Taylor says to do it, they have to stay focused.
We're having these robots, and our other classmates, they're making these obstacle courses, and we get the robots and we put at the start, and we have to control them to get them past the categories.
And while the robots may steal the show, the real focus is teamwork and creativity. 7th grader Lauren Walker says having an open mind helps.
When you come in here, you get to express yourself and build new things, learn new things about stuff that you don't know.
If a robot gets stuck, that's when the real learning kicks in.
So we work together and help each other to learn and maneuver the robot.
STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. Since Cirrus Academy opened in 2016, they've taught with that curriculum focus. Director of Academics Nisha Brinson says that's what makes the school special.
You really push curiosity, innovation, creativity in everything that they do. So if you walk around in our classrooms, you're not just going to see a STEAM focus in one class, you're going to see it all over the building.
These robot experts know there's not one single right answer, just different ways to think through a problem.
We're
The head of school at Cirrus Academy says that between this school year and the last one, enrollment at the school grew by 100 students. The K through 8 school has 500 students now, and we want to know where you think our school of the week should be next. So be sure to let us know what your school of the week worthy students are up to this year. You can reach out to Naomi directly at inwashington@13wmaz.com. Around the community, new shows are coming to the Atrium Health Amphitheater in Macon. City leaders announced Lindsay Sterling will be bringing her summer tour to Macon this year. Sterling is one of the world's most famous violinists and will perform at the Atrium Health Amphitheater on July 21st. If you decide to go, tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Sterling joins 3 other major acts coming to Macon in 2026. Country star Clint Black returns to Macon on February 27th. Both Clint Black and Bob Dylan will perform at the Macon City Auditorium. Dylan's show is set for April 22nd. Meanwhile, the Goo Goo Dolls take the stage at the amphitheater on August 27th. And it's not just music coming to Macon this year. Former Vice President Kamala Harris will stop in the city on February 11th as part of her book tour. Those tickets are already on sale at the Macon City Auditorium. Folks in Macon gathered for the front room sessions at the Tubman Museum Saturday afternoon. Speakers at the event recounted stories and memories of Macon's early days and discussed some historical information about African Americans in the area. Brandon Martin was visiting town from Los Angeles and decided to stop by.
I knew stuff about Macon already, and I know it's a very historic place. And when I came in there, they was talking about a lot of stuff that I never even knew of. So it was real informal, and that's literally why I came too.
The front room sessions say they are more than an event. They are a movement that creates a space for youth and older people to come together. Mill Georgia Honor Flights announced its 2026 flight schedule. Based on their website, the group will take 6 trips this year, with the first flight scheduled for March 21st. The flights take veterans to Washington, D.C. for free to visit memorials from wars they fought in. The nonprofit has flown more than 400 veterans since 2018. Not many people lived to be 100 years old or served in World War II, but Albert Pallas did both. He passed away on January 9th, just 3 weeks shy of his 101st birthday. And we were there last year for his 100th birthday, where he talked about his time at war and his love of baseball. During World War II, Mr. Pallas says he walked hundreds of miles, surviving on whatever food he could find. When the war ended, he returned home, married, and started a family. Friends and family gathered to celebrate him and lay him to rest. For his daughter, it was not just a farewell, but a special tribute to a life well lived.
It just felt so wonderful that these people care so much about him in a way that only they can understand. You know, that they were almost in a sense carrying him home, even though he wasn't coming home from war.
Macon's American Legion Post 3 says Mr. Pallas is the last World War II veteran in their Central Georgia chapter. In downtown Macon, a block of 3rd Street now carries a name that means far more than a street sign. The stretch between Poplar and Cherry is now Josh Rogers Way, honoring a man many credit with helping reshape downtown Macon into a place for everyone. Former Newtown Macon and CEO President Josh Rogers died unexpectedly at the age of 42 back in November of 2024. Community leaders, family, and friends who loved Rogers came out to support. People described Rogers as a leader who put the needs of people of Macon first. Then they revealed the new block name.
One of the most meaningful moments came without words. Josh Rogers' wife and 2 children helped pull the covers off the street signs right after remarks from the community leaders.
It's with great pride that I stand here with you today on Josh Rogers Way to celebrate his legacy.
Josh Rogers Way sits in the heart of downtown Macon. Macon Mayor Lester Miller says he knew Rogers as a humble person.
Josh Rogers has made this community, left his mark on this community in such a way that we all can be proud of. I know Josh would be embarrassed today because he certainly, as you know, would not want us to make such a big deal about him.
Soon enough, the name won't be the only thing that makes it special. The county plans to build a multi-generational park in the median of this block. Alex Morrison says it will cost about $2 million.
He wanted our community to be everybody's playground, and while that was always meant to be somewhat figurative, making it literal means that it invites the next generation of Maconites to engage in the work that we did.
Community Foundation of Central Georgia President Catherine Dennis says under Rogers' leadership, they completed 2 Newtown Macon strategic plans and 2 Macon action plans.
People talk about plans sitting on a shelf, but our plans were real. They were lived.
Newtown Macon's new president and CEO, James Fritz, says the turnout speaks to Rogers' reach in the community.
He is a truly beloved person in downtown Macon and community-wide.
For many, Josh Rogers' way will stand as a daily reminder of a leader who believed in the community and in Macon.
Morrison says the rendering is an early look at the park. It will include playground features both on the ground and to climb. It's designed to be accessible for people of all abilities and to fit seamlessly into downtown. The Macon-Bibb Commission unanimously approved naming the block last November. The renamed block downtown sits right around the corner from Newtown Macon's office. Central Georgia leaders addressing the housing crisis by adding new affordable options for residents.
Our goal is to disrupt the housing market in Macon. We're going to take it and we're going to take it back down to attainable levels, and we're taking it to a point where people can move into homes and we can build our communities back.
Macon-Bibb County leaders unveiled the 2 newest homes to make up Tyndall Fields. It's part of a larger project to turn parts of Macon into a walkable community and give people long-term housing. Tyndall Fields sits along Plant Street near Mercer University. Both of the houses are currently for sale. My Teacher's Tops winners from across Central Georgia counties, teaching grade levels from preschool to college. And they cover all subjects. Junior journalist Riley Thomas found this week's top teacher on the hardwood.
We're here at the Academy for Classical Education, and to find our top teacher, we're headed to the gym. Good morning, Coach Wesley. You're this week's My Teacher's Tops.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Good catch.
Coach Wetzel is still one of the newer faces at ACE, having worked there for 4 years, but he brings a wealth of experience. He has spent 35 years coaching high school students and used that expertise to help kids grow and develop. Now he teaches gym and coaches basketball. Students play the game of dodgeball designed to enhance their hand-eye coordination. It looks so fun, I just had to get in on the game. Meanwhile, Henley Presley has nominated 2 teachers at ACE. Although she missed the opportunity to recognize the first one, she made sure this time to tell us all about Coach Wetzel's positive impact.
We also made up a handshake to do whenever I walk in or I'm leaving. One of the best things is that he encourages me to do good on a test, and he believes in me whenever we have one. Coach Wetzel is just an amazing person, and I really hope that y'all get to give this to him.
Well, it's a high honor. It's the first time this happened in my career, so I'm very grateful for Henley. She's a wonderful young lady, and I thank her so much for thinking of me.
Congratulations, Coach Wetzel. Students, keep sending us your nominations, and we might come to your school next. Reporting in Bibb County, I'm junior journalist Riley Thomas.
Congratulations, Coach, and good job, Riley. Tell us why your teacher is tops, and we just might surprise them next. Here's what to do. Write us a letter or email. Send your letters to My Teacher is Tops, 1314 Gray Highway, 31211, or email us at myteacheristops@13wmaz.com. You can also send us a video on the 13WMAZ app. Make sure to include your name, your teacher's name, and what school you attend. Get a parent to help you upload the video. That's the final note in this week's edition of the Macon-Bibb Beat. If you have a Macon-Bibb County story you want us to share, email us at news@13wmaz.com. And make sure you come back each Wednesday to get all the news and stories that matter to you. Thank you for joining us for your Macon-Bibb Beat.